Val meets with the human traffickers to free Keeman and Sefik, but they refuse because he only brought 4 kids, and they want 5. Val says he's the 5th, but they don't think he's valuable enough. To change their minds, he shows them his power. Del tells them to let Keeman and Sefik go, but instead they restrain him, saying they won't release their merchandise. Del and the 4 kids, who turn out to be Pride and her friends, are thrown into a carriage. Before meeting the traffickers, they made a plan to infiltrate the enemy base so the knights could destroy the traffickers after rescuing the prisoners. Arthur worries the plan won't work because people recognize them, so Gilbert changes them into children with new identities. At the enemy base, Stale frees himself from his restraints. The enemies try to stop him, but he sends them to a prison where the knights begin interrogating them about their base. Stale then rescues the other kids, and we learn the traffickers separated the special ability users from the ordinary children. Arthur, Gilbert, and Pride join the ordinary kids in a cell where they hear a girl calling for Val. Pride realizes it's Keeman and Sefik and tells them they are Val's friends. Sefik doesn't believe them, saying Val doesn't have friends and calling him an idiot because the traffickers would never release their merchandise. She asks where Val is, and Gilbert tells her he went to the prison for special ability users to find her, but a guard interrupts, telling them to be quiet. Meanwhile, Val and Stale rescue the special ability users, but they haven't found Keeman and Sefik yet. Val thinks they might be hiding their powers. Stale sees flashes in the distance, and Val believes it's from a special cell. A guard spots them, but Stale quickly teleports him away, saying the knights will arrive soon. Val sets off a bomb, drawing the guard's attention, then traps them with his powers. Arthur believes the special ability users are now safe, but Sefik is worried about Val and uses her powers to blast a guard away. Stale enters the special cell and finds a boy named Powell, who says he doesn't want to go home because he brings misery to those around him. Powell's lightning powers are out of control, but Stale, also a special ability user, tells him about Pride and promises to help him find a place to belong. Powell eventually calms down and Stale teleports him away, but Stale collapses from his injuries. The knights arrive, and a knight named Alan spots Arthur. Arthur hides Pride, then leads a charge against the enemies. Arthur fights fiercely, but the leader takes Val hostage, forcing Arthur to stop and get restrained. Gilbert changes Pride back to her original form, and she frees Arthur by slicing the chains. The leader tries to attack her, but she breaks the chains and slices through the bullets he shoots at her. Instead of killing him, Pride gives her sword to Alan, who finishes the fight. Just when it seems like everything is over, they hear a loud explosion and see an airship bombing the area. They start running for the exit, but get a report that Keeman and Sefik are still inside. Val finds Sefik, and she tells him Keeman is trapped. Val tries to save him with his ability, but he's not strong enough. The cave is about to collapse, but Val keeps trying. Alan orders 2 knights to help, while everyone else evacuates. The knights carry the kids to safety, leaving Pride and Arthur to help rescue Keeman. Val spots Keeman through an opening, but the cave is on the verge of collapsing. The knights urge Val to leave, but he refuses, reminding them he's a criminal, so they don't have to care about him. He tells Pride not to give him orders, but she tells him to block them off, and he's grateful. Pride and Arthur leave the cave, and Sefik asks about Val and Keeman. Arthur tells her they're still inside. Sefik tries to go back, but the knights stop her, so she uses her water ability on them. Seeing this, Gilbert forms a theory, and Pride goes back to Val, ordering him to remove the wall. Val is surprised she returned. Pride tells him to grab Keeman's hand. Val is unsure, knowing he can't pull Keeman out, but when Keeman grabs his hand, Pride tells Val to control the entire cave. Val doubts himself, but suddenly gains incredible power, and the cave transforms. The rubble vanishes, and Val is able to reunite with Keeman. Gilbert believes Keeman's special ability amplifies others' powers. He recalls how strong Sefik was when she fought the guards, but was weaker when separated from Keeman. Val is shocked but controls the cave with ease. He creates a moving platform, and they escape the cave. Sefik is thrilled to see Keeman, but a man in an invisible airship watches them and starts dropping bombs. Sefik nearly falls off a cliff, but Val saves her, falling instead. He starts to reflect, realizing he never thought he'd risk his life for a child. In a flashback, we learn Val's mother abandoned him when he was 7. He was treated badly by others and learned to fight, even kill, to survive. He joined a criminal group for profit, but Pride captured him, made him sign a contract of loyalty, and set him free. Back in his town, Val saw Keeman and Sefik being bullied by other kids, but the bullies ran away when they saw him. Though Val ignored the 2 kids, they started following him everywhere, believing he'd protect them. Val tried to run, remembering he was involved in human trafficking, but the kids wouldn't leave. He wanted to use force, but couldn't because of the contract. Eventually, he got used to having them around and even started teaching them. Sefik started selling water to earn money, and their bond grew stronger as they looked after each other. But one day, human traffickers captured Keeman and Sefik, and their leader threatened Val, demanding he bring 5 kids in exchange for them. Val wanted to fight back, but the contract stopped him. That's when he decided to go to Pride for help. In the present, Val accepts his fate, happy he was able to save the kids. However, Pride finds him and orders him to grab her hand. She calls out to Stale, who wakes up and teleports them to safety. Keeman and Sefik are crying, thinking Val died, but he appears behind them, alive, and they're overjoyed. The next day, Arthur warns Pride to be careful because the person responsible for the bombing still hasn't been caught. Val arrives with Kemet and Sefik, having completed a delivery for Pride. She's surprised he finished in just 1 day, as it usually takes 5, but Stale confirms the letter is real. Pride thanks Val for his work and announces that he and the kids will be the royal family's exclusive carriers. Kemet and Sefik are thrilled, and Pride reveals they will be starting a school in the country to give kids a better future. She tells them the school will be built if they do their part as carriers, and Val promises to help, accepting Pride as his master. Pride watches Arthur sparring with Gilbert, but Arthur is struggling. Gilbert invites Stale to join, but Stale refuses since he still doesn't like Gilbert. However, when Gilbert promises to teach them a technique to knock someone out without harm, Stale gets interested and teams up with Arthur. Together, they attack Gilbert, but he easily dodges them and defeats them both. Val shows up while this is happening, and Tiara offers the kids cake. Sefik is excited and asks Val and Kemet to join her. Val reaches for Kemet's hand, but accidentally grabs Pride's instead, making Stale and Arthur jealous. Val quickly corrects his mistake, walking away with Kemet, while Gilbert takes advantage of their distraction in the fight. Before leaving, Tiara tells Pride to cheer for the boys, thinking it will motivate them. As the fight continues and the boys struggle, Pride encourages them, saying Stale is smart and cool, and she's proud to have him as her brother. She praises Arthur as a strong knight who can beat anyone. Hearing this, the boys become more determined, and Gilbert realizes that Pride's words are bringing out their strength. They manage to land a hit on him. After the fight, Arthur is tired but says he wants to get stronger and surpass Gilbert. He feels like he didn't do enough during their battle with the human traffickers and thinks he hasn't improved. Stale reminds him that his sword protected everyone, helping Arthur see that he played his part. Pride praises both of them, wiping Arthur's face and saying his skills impressed her. She does the same for Stale, thinking about how they've both grown into admirable people and feeling grateful to know them. She reminds them to always protect Tiara and the people, but they promise to protect her as well. Pride is happy to hear this. As she reflects on everything she's been through, she knows it's just the beginning and that she could still end up as the final boss of the story. Determined, she resolves to keep doing everything she can to protect what matters to her.